Good morning, viewers. You are watching the SI News. With me, Meilinda Chronika Manurung. Today, I will be accompanying you to 10 minutes forward. First news, you know the US dollar. It's the official currency of the United States and its territories. But also some other countries use it as their official currency too. In fact, the US dollar is known as the world reserve currency. So, how exactly did this become so powerful?
More than $1.8 trillion of US currency is now in circulation around the world, and it's believed that two-thirds of $100 bills and nearly half of $50 bills are held outside the US. In fact, the US dollar is the de facto global currency, meaning it's kept by many governments in reserve and that most people and companies trust it for international trade. Even as the coronavirus pandemic wreaked havoc across global markets, wiping out trillions of dollars worth of assets. At one point, it soared 4% against a basket of major currencies, namely the euro, pound, yen, Canadian dollar, Swiss, French, and Swedish krona. So, why did we see this peak in the value of the US dollar?
The dollar is strong because the U.S. economy and because people want to hold dollars and the safety of the U.S. dollar.
In times of uncertainty, investors flee to what's known as safe haven. Investment expected to hold their value during market turbulence. And you guessed it, the US currency is seen as such. Why? Well, it hails from the world's large economy, the United States, which is generally politically and economically stable. And while you can be pretty sure that the US dollar's value will fluctuate, it probably won't plummet the way the Turkish lira or Argentinian peso have. All of that demand for the dollar can cause shortage during time of economic crisis, which only exacerbates the large problem. America's central bank, the Federal Reserve, is responsible for using the currency and takes extra measures to prevent a squeeze when there's a rush for the greenback. For example, during the financial and coronavirus crisis, it set up a number of swap lines with other major central banks, making sure there is enough money available for investment and spending. This helps stabilize currency market when the desire for the US dollar surges. Well, for a long time, developed economies tied their currency to gold. However, during the First World War, many of these countries abandoned this gold standard and started paying their military expense with paper money instead. Eventually, the US dollar, which was still tied gold, overtook the British pound to become the world's leading reserve currency. During World War II, the United States sold weapons and supplies to many of its allies and collected its payment in gold. By 1947, the US had accumulated 70% of the world gold reserve, leaving other nations with a huge disadvantage. To try to remedy this and other financial matters, 44 allied countries met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire in 1944. There, they decided that the world's currency would be pegged to the US dollar, which was in turn linked to gold. As central banks began to build their reserve over time, these dollars were redeemed for gold, dwindling the US stockpile and igniting concern about the stability of the US dollar. The 1971 US President Richard Nixon shocked the world when he delinked the dollar from gold. From there, free-floating exchange rates were born, meaning exchange rates were no longer fixed to gold and were determined by market force instead. Despite periods of market volatility and the inflation that followed, the US dollar has remained the world reserve currency. Its sheer volume and America's efficient bank system made the notes more convenient and cheaper to trade than other currency. Today, the vast majority of foreign exchange transactions are done in US dollar with no other currency coming anywhere near that. In recent decades, the US has even been accused of weaponizing its currency for strategy and geopolitical influence. One example cited by critics was the Trump administration's sanctions on North Korea and Iran, which include forbidding them from using the dollar in trade. Some economists are so reliant on the American notes that they are even commonly used in day-to-day transactions. At ATM in Cambodia, you can withdraw the greenback from the machine. On a global scale, you will find commodities like metals, energy, and agricultural goods are usually traded in US dollar.
Central government policy to start new normal. A number of tourism objects in Gunung Kidul district in the special region of Yogyakarta are ready to open for tourists. Tourism objects that will open begins of various preparation of the simulation of health protocol implementation.
Welcome to New Normal Life. Tourism industry in Landwater District, Gunung Kidul District, Special Region of Yogyakarta, planning to open a number of tourist objects. After almost 4 months in closed while coronavirus owned in Indonesia for tourism object its two naked area, Baron Beach and Enough Beach, as well as to object tourism specially to the mountain tourists is two beach of yakni Beach of Baron Beach and Enough Beach, as well as to object tourism special interest mountain private vocational school to Nama Grand Beach area in good and academic area in Indonesia 2020. A lot of preparation is prepared for local tourism service and COVID handling cluster in Mountain Kidul district, and manager of talk object tourists. Among them, do initial preparation simulation with tourist visit health strict application protocol. Among them, limit number of visitors up to 50% per day enough. Time limitation of operation tourism, visitor body temperature detection, and required to use mask to adjust the distance between visitors. A lot of innovation is also conducted to manage tourists like payment of retribution online or without cash transaction. Tourist object officer must use facial masks and protector. A lot of protocol will be evaluated by the tourism department before the tourists are really open on the month of July. The selection of 4 tourism objects because the 4 already have a tourism or tourism group or manager that are able to apply the standard of health protocol. Other than that, the 4 of tourism objects are enough supporting location up to a travel route to support visitor limitation. Awareness applying health protocol from tourism and tourists are needed to successful opening open tourism objects in new normal era.
Well, viewers, that's all the news. May it useful for your viewers. I'm Meilinda Chronika Manurung and all of crew of PSI News say have a wonderful day. See you and bye-bye!
Indonesia